In the majority of Muslim countries, the effort to construct democracy are still steep. Historical, political, cultural, and economic consideration rather than religious ones why Muslim lack of democracy. Basis of Islam democracy principle based on shura, consultative decision making. How shura and democracy are related is when Prophet Muhammad showed a democratic spirit when forming the Medina Compact. While reformist Muslims are more open to new concept, practice, and institution, conservative Muslims are more likely to see the Western world to support for human rights as part of a contemporary goal which the West seeks to establish its hegemony over the Muslim world. Reformers emphasize the importance of maintaining fundamental Islamic tradition but also hold Islamic law Sharia.
The Quran, the Hadith literature, the Sunnah of Muhammad, the history of Islam and components of political movement outside of Islam are all sources for the political aspect of Islam. Islam's traditional political system involves electing or selecting Muhammad's successor known as Khalifah in Islam. In Islamic politics, the ruler were referred to as Khalifah. In Islam, Khalifah play a significant role and must be carefully chosen. Consequently, it is forbidden to appoint non-Muslims as rulers. To be a Khalifah, one must be mature and adult. A kid cannot be chosen to serve as a ruler. Khalifah also needs to be fair. The person must never kill or commit other major sins. Must Allah repeatedly commit minor sins. The person needs to know about the Sharia laws and their justification must be familiar to the ruler. For the wise and comprehensive understanding, a ruler's ability to manage and protect the safety of the nation and its citizens for any threat is made possible by his cunning. Lastly, according to Sheikh Fatih Yakan in his book, The Meaning of Me Adhere to the Religion of Islam, doing charity for Islam is obligatory from a legal point of view because the non-existence of God's law on the face of the earth and the dominance of man-made systems and laws over human society today obliges Muslims and restore the Islamic way of life. Taifah Madinah as constitutional basis that were created by Rasulullah SAW. This formulation is a symbol of a civilized and civilized society. It is the first fully recorded constitution in history. It was drafted by the Prophet with the guidance of revelation. It contains 10 chapters consisting of 47 clauses, 33 of which are about Muslims and another 34 about Jews.
With the declining influence of leftist ideas and the so-called crisis of authoritarianism in the Muslim Middle East, North Africa and the Southeast Asia, democracy seems poised to offer itself as a viable alternative. By the early 1990s, terms such as pluralism, civil society, human rights, freedom, and transparency had become buzzwords in the discourse among scholars and activists alike. Islamic activism too had shown signs of moving away from the radical fundamentalist phase of the 1970s and 1980s to a participatory phase characterized by a preference to work within the system and by a neo-reformism that questioned the traditional role of faith, its leaders, priorities, and interpretation. The primary opposition group capable of undermining the National Front's NF dominance among the rural Malays is the Pan-Malaysia Islamic Party, PAS, a split of UMNO component that was founded in 1951. Islam as a form of government was not prioritized by PAS throughout the first 3 decades of the party's existence, despite the party's emphasis on Islamic roots and nomenclature. In actuality of a motion calling for the immediate foundation of an Islamic state was rejected by the party conference in 1954. The party intended to gradually bring about Islamic administration through democratic means, public education, and the development of an Islamic society. PAS did not, however, portray UMNO and the government as Islamic or democratic, as it did not speak for the general Malay populace. It charged that the leaders of UMNO and this coalition members who are not Muslims have supported anti-Islamic policies and encouraged descendant Western cultural influences. PAS currently has the opposition party's best defined goals as an Islamist party PAS is primarily committed to the establishment of an Islamic State in Malaysia. As a result, it promotes principles and viewpoints with Islamic roots. PAS has been presenting Malaysians and Muslim Bumiputras in particular with a vision of society transformed through legislation based on religious beliefs by adopting this predominantly Islamic stance. According to the party, the construction of an Islamic state will result in spiritual renewal and the growth of a more just, democratic, moral and socially conscious society free from oppressive laws and harmful economic activities like gambling. As a result of the ruling elite's experiments with political liberalization, the Salvation Party in Algeria, the El Nadaha Party in Tunisia, the Freedom and Justice Party, the Salafia al-Noor Party in Egypt, and the AKP Party in the Turkey all came into being. These democratic trials can be seen as a change in how Islamic activity is conducted. The general trend since then has been a series of changes by both the regimes they were opposing and the descendant Islamists, the former in favor of promoting democracy and participation, the latter in favor of Islamization. Considering these developments, this examines Malaysia's modern Muslim politics. It focuses on the dynamics between the United Malays National Organisation, UMNO, which is the key member of the coalition government's National Front, NF, and the opposition Islamic Party, PAS, which are both active in the socio-political reality of multi-ethnic Malaysia as well as in the distinctive Islamic experience of its history. The future of Muslim politics and democracy in Malaysia is examined along with the ramification of these involving patterns.
Democracy can be defined as government by the people, especially rule of the majority, a government in which the supreme power is vested in the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation, usually involving politically held free elections. The reality is that Islam is not only compatible with the above aspects of democracy, but they are also essential to Islam. If we can cut through the labels and semantics, we can see that Islamic government has at least three core features. First core is constitution. Islamic government is essentially a constitutional government in which the constitution represents the agreement of the governed body to define and agree upon framework of rights and duties. No authority other than the government has the authority to repeal or amend such a constitution. It is also widely acknowledged that the Islamic polity in Madinah was founded on a constitutional foundation and a pluralistic framework that includes non-Muslims. Second core is participatory. An Islamic political system is democratic. The system participatory from the creation of the institutional structure of governance to its operation. It means that the leadership and policies will be carried out with the full gender-neutral participation of the government via a popular electoral process. The third core is accountable. This is an essentially corollary to a constitutional system. The leadership and the holders of authority are accountable to people within an Islamic framework. Islamic framework here means that all Muslims are accountable to Allah and His divine guidance.
In conclusion, political democracy is a political theory that attempts to apply Islamic ideas to people's policy within the context of a democratic framework. The strength of Islamic and Muslim in managing authorities and democracy carried out by the government so that it is compatible with Islamic belief is critical to the future of democracy in Malaysia. There is reciprocity between Islamic and opposition parties in developing a new foundation for Muslim politics and Islamic democracy. Democracy can be viewed as a tool for making Sharia and Islamic political order successful in the modern world. Furthermore, political parties, Islamic NGO, and community organizations must work together to improve the Islamic component of the democratic system. particularly is seeking a more transparent and authoritative democratic